Jai Shri Ram. This is a GRE argument prompt. They use the word prompt, Prompt. Prompt simply means something that motivates you to write. It's a cue, CUE. In billiards, you call it the cue stick with which you strike the ball. So, cue means a signal. Take the cue from Virat Kohli. That means follow him, do what he's doing. So, this is called a argument prompt. 7 years ago, and your task in an argument is, as usual, to write an essay in which you outline the evidence that the speaker should actually come up in order to convince us about the conclusions that he has arrived at. And sometimes the instructions will also be that you should explain what kind of evidence will actually weaken the entire argument. So, within a span of 30 minutes, you should write as much as possible, because in the Gre Awa there is no stipulations, no stipulation. Stipulation means a rule. There is no stipulation as to how many words you must write. The more you write, the better it is for you. 7 years ago, homeowners in nearby Brookwheel community. Now, wheel is a suffix. When you see this suffix, it means a city. Wheel is a suffix which means a city. 7 years ago, homeowners in nearby Brookwheel community adopted a set of restrictions on how the community's yards should be landscaped and what colors the exteriors of homes should be painted. Since then, average property values have tripled in Brookwheel. In order to raise property values in Deerhaven Acres, we should adopt our own set of restrictions on landscaping and house painting. So you see, there are just 3 sentences here. And the speaker has jumped to the conclusion that simply because the landscaping and coloring of the exterior of homes was undertaken, property values have tripled. Now, common sense tells me that usually this cannot be the reason why property values increase, or for that matter triple in this case. Property values will triple when the infrastructure of the city is very good. The roads and railway, connectivity, internet, and so many other cost of living, so many other factors are involved. So the speaker conveniently ignores all these things and jumps to a conclusion. And the speaker seems to be a person from Deerhaven Acres, and he mistakenly thinks that if they follow the same set of restrictions on landscaping and house painting, the property values of Deerhaven will also increase. So this is the recommendation. Our job as usual is to write in as many paragraphs as possible. Write small paragraphs. Our job is to write that first of all, we do not know why there is a need to increase property values, because nothing in this argument tells us that the property values of Deerhaven are going down or lesser than Brookwheel, though that seems to be a suggestion here. It may be perfectly the case that Deerhaven Acres enjoys better property values than Brookwheel, and therefore perhaps there is no need at all. Right? And perhaps Deerhaven already has a kind of landscaping, though perhaps not as many restrictions or any restrictions, but still it might be having its own image and beauty, and perhaps is popular as a tourist spot too. So unless we get a lot of information about Deerhaven, we cannot straight away accept the recommendation of the speaker that merely adopting these restrictions is going to make a tremendous change and raise property values. So your introduction will be very simple. Your introduction తెలుగులో చెప్పాలంటే 4 సెంటెన్స్లు. ఇలా అంటున్నాడు, ఇలా అనుకుంటున్నాడు, ఇదేదో చెప్పాడు, బాలేదు. ये सोच रहा है, ये बोल रहा है या रिकमेंड कर रहा है, ये सोच रहा है, ये बता रहा है, कन्विंसिंग नहीं है हिंदी में. और सेकंड पैराग्राफ ऐसा होगा. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द स्पीकर सेज ब्ला 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 ब्ला, full stop, but in order for blah 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 to be blah blah blah, we need blah blah blah, and in the absence of blah blah blah, we cannot accept what this speaker is saying. उसके बाद सेकंड पैराग्राफ कैसे शुरू होगा? Secondly, the speaker says blah 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 blah, but for this blah 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 we need that blah blah blah, and in the absence of this blah blah blah, we cannot accept this blah blah blah. Third paragraph will say, thirdly, the speaker says blah 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 blah. But in order to accept this blah blah blah, a study should have been undertaken blah blah blah, or a survey should have been undertaken. And in the absence of all this blah blah blah, we cannot accept what the speaker says at face value. Your conclusion. If you can write one more paragraph, same pattern, good. Conclusion. In conclusion, the speaker's statement would have been more convincing if the speaker had given information about, comma, blah blah blah, comma, blah blah blah, comma, blah blah blah, comma, etc. Full stop. The final sentence will be, in the absence of all the above, blah 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 blah, we cannot accept the speaker's recommendation as persuasive. That's the end of your response. So, 7 years ago, homeowners adopted a set. One question is, are they still following it? Because it is 7 years. And Brookville may be a very advanced city with all facilities, maybe a megapolis like New York. And Deer Haven perhaps stands no comparison at all. In which case, even if Deer Haven adopts all the restrictions that Brookville did, the property values may not increase. So we need complete information and a comparative study of both these cities. And in the absence of that information, we cannot accept the recommendation as believable. So this is what we have to write. I think it's good enough, right? I'm actually recording this in my gym. So you have to use your intellectual gym to write a good response. You want to take a look at my gym? This is how it looks. Okay? A lot of equipment. There's a boxing sack also. So you have to box the GRA. Okay? And this is my personal chess board. I take pride in playing chess. I play with 15 people simultaneously. That's my leg press. These are some of my students.
Hello.
And this is me myself. So they're taking the test shortly. So this is our GRE class. I don't think there's any GRE class anywhere in the world which will be like mine. What do you say, Tushar?
True. True.
Thank you. So bye friends. So please write a response and I'll be very glad to give you feedback. You put your response on WhatsApp. I'll give you an audio file feedback. Jai Shri Ram.